Hello. So I have some thoughts I want to share on a video. Over 5 years ago, I made some pretty big goals for my life. Something I wanted to accomplish. That one act of setting that goal has just been a progression of changing my life ever since. It's taught me so much, which I'm going to go into a little bit. There's some, we need something to drive us beyond our comfort zone. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, as long as the goal is ethical and one of the struggles is to you don't get too carried away with it, that you neglect responsibilities, which I've been guilty of. But it's a balancing, and I'm learning as I go. Try to balance it out. But setting a goal and writing it down and putting a date on it, you can refine that date. You can set intermediate goals. You can, if you set it for 1 year and it takes you 5 years and you're still not there, you still just keep going. But it's so important to write it down by hand and put a date on it. Can't say enough about that. Anyway, I went to work physically on this goal, and I quickly learned that there's a mental process that has to happen as well. And a good friend of mine turned me on to a book that I needed to read, and so I wasn't very good at reading, and I just had a hard time finishing books and staying at it. But this day and age with technology and all that, I looked for audiobook and found it, bought it from audible.com, and since then I've got over 50 books, and I've watched videos and studied and read, and every day I do work on my mind, meditate. That has been the best thing, because it not only applies to my hobby goal, it applies to my work and my relationships and anything I attempt to do in life. So, all that brings me kind of an introduction to my thought is we clean our garage, or we should. I don't clean my garage, but I need to. But we do. We clean our garage, we clean our house, we clean our office, we clean our desk, we clean our car, we clean our boat. All kinds of things we have to clean. How often do we and religiously clean our mind? Really clean it? Most of us really don't. And all my studies and books over 5 years' time has really gotten me to this point to think about it, is a daily letting go, a daily cleansing. I'm reading a book right now called Letting Go, and I'm studying it. And it talks about this letting go. There's deeper meanings to everything as you get into stuff. When you first see it or first hear it, we have what we think about it. We know what we think we know about it in our minds. Then as we study and read, we get a new understanding. And that's what this book is teaching me, is a new understanding. We need to internalize emotionally, deep down, an actual feeling of letting go. Not just saying it or pretending that we're letting go, and then 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, an hour later, 2 days later, we're feeling the same way again. We have a mental habit programmed into our minds, into our DNA. It's called a paradigm. We have all these things programmed in us. It takes knowing how and working at it to get that changed, to reset that, to create a new paradigm. There's visualization. There's all these tools that we can use, but we have to use them, we have to put them to work if we want our life to change. So this daily cleansing, we need to spend 10 to 20 minutes every morning, at least, if not a couple times a day, cleansing, letting go. What do we let go of? Well, we can't even know that unless we're aware. So there's an awareness that has to happen as well, an inner awareness. All these things are taught through meditation. And I'm going through another book right now called The Mastery of Destiny by James Allen. And he has a good chapter on, he has a great chapter on concentration. Then the next one, that's chapter 7. Then chapter 8 is meditation. And he talks about what it's not and what it is. And he's back from, he died in the early 1900s, so he's back from the late 1800s. And so some of his language is a little different, and he's a philosopher. I listen to that book over and over and over. I put on the YouTube video. It's on there for free while I'm practicing pool. And I've had to look up words to understand what he's saying. You can get the free PDF online. The whole thing is to practice it and to do it. You will benefit from it. And gain strength in your thinking. Gain strength in your emotional well-being. Our emotions and thoughts toss us to and fro all the time. We don't even know it. And we have to have an awareness to see it to begin with. And then we need to use this letting go to let stuff go that just don't make sense. It don't make sense to hold on to regret. It doesn't make sense to hold on to anger. It doesn't make sense to hold on to stupid thoughts that don't make any sense. It's like waking up from a nightmare, and when you finally get to that point where you realize, oh, that was a dream. That was just a dream. You're sweating and fighting in the sheets trying to do something, and you feel like you just got to get this thing done, or you got to get away, or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you wake up Well, that's a consciousness. You become conscious of the struggle that you're having. And that's the same thing we're doing while we're awake. We're actually asleep. We're asleep. Most of the time. We are unconscious of our thoughts, unconscious of what's going on in our minds emotionally. Because every thought triggers an emotion. And then the emotions trigger things in our body like epinephrine and norepinephrine and dopamine and serotonin, and there's probably hundreds. There's tons of chemicals in our minds and in our bodies that are produced by our organs and so forth to get our body to respond to what's going on in our mind. So in order to have efficiency, in order to be efficient and to not be tossed to and fro with our emotions, we need to be aware. We need to be awake. So these are things that I'm learning, working on. And I just had these thoughts floating around, and I thought about journaling it, writing it down, and so I thought, well, I'm going to make a video instead. It's easier just to talk maybe about what my thoughts are. And I don't know if I'm even going to share this, but if I do, I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe get something from it. I also look forward to masterminding with other people. So if you like these things, if you want to learn more about them, if you maybe you're already advanced in them, I would like if you'd get with me and we can mastermind together. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich is the book. The title really, it's a great title, but when you read the book, it's not, again, it's not what you would think it would be per se. Maybe it would, but more than likely it's not. Most people feel that way about it. It's more of the mental process that we have to go through with it, the things that I just talked about. Talks about vibration. Talks about masterminding. Getting together with other people that are of like mind, that are vibrating on that same level. And trying to think what else. What was I going to say about that? Here's something else I was going to say, but try to think of that. Masterminding, vibration. It's at the level. Intuition. That's what I was going to say. He talks about having an intuition and a knowing, an inner knowing, and enhancing that and working on that. We so much try to do things with our outer mind, which is really our little mind. In Letting Go, it talks about little mind and big mind, little self, big self. We're running our lives with the little self, the ego, that gets in the way. And the intuition and the big self, that's like being in the zone. When you get in that zone, you play so much better, you work so much better, you love so much better, and it's intuitive. Your responses and your reactions and the things you're doing is intuitive. When you talk with people, you're intuitive. You listen, and there's a knowing that goes beyond that little self-knowing. That's what he talks about, that needs to be developed and worked on. So I encourage that. I look forward to that. I'm interested in that. So anyway, good talking to you, and we'll catch you later.